Welcome to the Life Doula Podcast, where we explore the incredible journeys of individuals who have faced life's most challenging moments and emerge stronger, more resilient, and deeply transformed. I'm your host, Charity, and today we have a story that will inspire, uplift, hopefully not make you angry, and maybe even bring a tear to your eye. Imagine being told you have cancer, grappling with the fear, the uncertainty, and the overwhelming emotions, only to find out that the diagnosis was wrong, or perhaps to navigate the arduous path of treatment, clinging to hope and finding strength in the most unexpected places. In today's episode titled From Misdiagnosis to Miracle, a journey of surviving cancer, we are joined by our guest, co-founder of another cancer support community called Kaya. May I introduce to you Lenie Rose Veronilla, a survivor whose story is nothing short of miraculous. Lenie will share the raw and real moments of her life-altering journey, from the heart-wrenching misdiagnosis to the miraculous recovery that defied all odds. You'll hear about the dark days and the moments of light, the power of unwavering support, and the lessons learned along the way. More than just a story of survival, this is a testament to human resilience and the will to fight for life. So whether you're driving to work or sipping your morning coffee or simply looking for some inspiration today, stay with us. This episode is filled with powerful insights, candid reflections, and a message of hope that you don't want to miss. Let's dive right in and welcome our incredible guest. I already consider her part of better days, Lenie Rose Veronilla. Hello! Can you walk us through the moment you received your initial diagnosis? I'm underlining initial, ha? Your initial diagnosis.
So my initial diagnosis was thymoma. It is cancer that originates from the thymus gland. Our thymus gland is located in the mediastinum or in the middle of our chest. So the moment I received that diagnosis, I was dumbfounded. It was in 2018 and cancer was not in my radar. I was young. I was only 24 years old. I had a lot going for me. I was working in the operating room as a nurse. I was taking up my master's degree. I was at the prime of life.
Wow.
When, on a Friday afternoon, my life was drastically changed. So, I work in the operating room, and during that time, I was assisting surgeries for patients who were positive for tuberculosis. Mm-hmm. And my only symptom that time was dry cough. And dahil parang paranoid ako, sabi ko, mga pasyente ko, mga TB positive, tapos may cough ako. So, why not magpa-x-ray? So, I went for an x-ray and boom, merong malaking shadow na nakita in the middle of my chest. I was recommended to undergo CT scan, and there it was confirmed there was a 9-centimeter mass in the middle of my chest. And sa scan, nakasulat, primary consideration is thymoma. Secondary or differential diagnosis is lymphoma. Pero hindi ko ni-mind yung lymphoma. So dahil OR nurse ako, yung una kong nilapitan was a surgeon.
Wow.
Yes. Instead of a primary doctor or general practitioner, surgeon yung una kong nilapitan. And of course, yung recommendation ng surgeon is to take out the mass.
Yeah.
Kasi naman, it's abnormal. There shouldn't be a mass in the body, in that part of the body, so kailangan i-take out. And ako naman, confident dahil bata pa. And like, there's also my colleagues, so yung trust and confidence ko din in them, sabi ko, sige. But yung family ko that time, they were really advocating na for me to get a second opinion or even go here in Metro Manila because I'm from Cagayan de Oro. So, sabi ko, no, I'll just stay here, I'll have the surgery. So, I undergo the surgery and successful naman yung surgery. Nakuha yung mass, but unexpected lang was that yung mass pala, nag-branch out na to a part of my lung, to a part of my heart. So, may part ng heart ko na kinuha and part din ng lung ko na kinuha. I knew that I will have an invasive surgery, but I didn't know that it's very, very invasive. So, yun. But, positive naman kasi nakuha daw lahat and na-confirm sa biopsy na thymoma. And hindi ko alam na, like, cancer, hindi talaga na-mention na cancer. Like, benign daw, but I didn't know, like, saka ko na nalaman na, actually, thymoma is cancer of the thymus gland.
Yeah.
Pero akala ko benign mass. So, wala talaga sa radar even after the surgery. Then,
So there was no treatment plan?
Wala. Like, just take it out, diagnosis, and then okay naman yung, like, diagnosis thymoma and successful ang surgery, nakuha naman daw lahat. So, monitor na lang, and if ever man bumalik, kailangan mag-radiation. And during that time, kasi, nag-google din ako kung ano ba thymoma, and hindi conclusive yung nakikita ko na results. Like, may nagsabi na malignant, may nagsabi na benign, but the treatment for thymoma, mainstay treatment for thymoma is surgery. So, I was confident. And monitor na lang daw. After several weeks, siguro mga 7 weeks lang, I started experiencing fever, tachycardia, mabilis yung heart rate ko, swelling in my face and in my arm. And then, so, kailangan ako i-scan ulit. And then, pag-scan sa akin, may mass na nakita impending, impeding a major blood vessel sa chest ko, kaya pala ako nagsuswell. Mm-hmm. And that mass is either residual, a tumor residual, or a new growth.
And this was how many weeks
siguro,
after the
less
procedure?
than 2 months. Around 7 weeks. So, na-experience ko yung mga ganun na symptoms. And before ako nag-surgery, my only symptom was dry cough. But after ako nag-surgery, I started having this
parang complications.
Grabe. Yeah. So, yun. And this time, the surgeon told me na I have done everything surgery-wise. I will refer you to an oncologist. Doon na parang, bakit ako na-refer sa oncologist? Mm-hmm. And then the oncologist, sa Cagayan de Oro pa ito. And then the oncologist told me, you need chemotherapy. And that was, hindi na-mention ang cancer, but alam ko na cancer because chemo and then oncologist. Mm. But that was the time na I asked the $1 million question. I have cancer. Tinanong ko, I have cancer. Tinanong ko yung oncologist. And yun, after that, pumunta kami here in Manila for my the rest of my treatment.
What were your first thoughts when you were asking the question, I have cancer?
A lot of why. Like, why Lord? Why me? Why us? Kasi hindi lang ako yung affected, but the whole family, especially my parents. And I was not yet independent that time. I was only 24 and starting my career, parang ganyan. And yun, maraming why, but yung pinakauna ko talagang pinuntahan was God. Like, it was really my spiritual turning point. And it was so amazing because yung pinaka-first verse na binigay ni Lord sa akin when I was questioning that was in John chapter 9 verse 3, when yung nihil ni Jesus yung blind man, and people were asking, Lord, sinong nagkasala? Parents niya or siya? Na nagkaganyan siya. But no, the Lord said, walang kasalanan ang parents niya, walang kasalanan siya, but it is done so that God will be glorified. So yun yung nag-comfort sa akin na, uy, wala tayong kasalanan. Like, we can do this ginawa to ni Lord na way para mag-glorify siya. So, yung first pa lang, kahit initial diagnosis pa lang na ganon, like, mali pala eventually. But initial diagnosis pa lang, nag-turn ako kay God and I told God na, Lord, please use this crisis for your glory.
Wow.
And I will share my life, my testimony. Share ko yung goodness and faithfulness mo in my life. So, the moment na I started my cancer journey, I started writing, I started blogging. Like, I was really public with my cancer journey. Yeah, because I treated it as an opportunity to point people to Jesus. So,
wow. How did this diagnosis affect long-term goals, dreams, plans?
it altered everything. Like, it's a life-altering diagnosis. So actually, during that time, I have my work, I have my postgrad studies, and I was also actually planning to go abroad. But because of the diagnosis, lahat nawala. Like,
Everything stopped.
yeah, everything stopped. And I actually felt that I was stripped of everything. My career, my physical strength, whatever vanity I had, nawala. So, whatever dreams, aspirations, hindi ko alam kung possible pa ba. I felt that I was stripped off of everything. But looking back, I actually realized that I was not stripped off of my hope. I wasn't stripped off of my faith. I wasn't stripped off of love from God and from the people around me. The pain and suffering were unimaginable, but the love, kindness, generosity, and sacrifices of the people around me were abundant. So it may have felt like, from a worldly perspective, that I was stripped off of everything, of such potential, but no, I was emptied for greater things, for God's glory.
You know, I have heard your story. Can you share with our audience how your family had to literally scramble to pay for an air ambulance to take you to Manila?
In 2018, I first had surgery in Cagayan de Oro, and then we decided to come here in Metro Manila for chemotherapy and radiation for thymoma. And actually, during that time, I was already given a poor prognosis. I didn't know that one of my doctors told my parents, especially my dad, that I only have 6 months to live.
Wow.
They didn't tell me that. So they just told me about that conversation when the 6 months have passed.
Wow.
So yeah, so in 2019, early 2019, I had a radiation, and after the radiation, the disease still progressed because, once again, it was a misdiagnosis. So from the tumors in my chest, it actually went down to my abdomen. So I had tumors from my chest down to my abdomen, and then I told my parents that whatever decision or treatment we would, kung anong treatment man gusto namin onwards, gusto ko nang umuwi in CDO.
So you want to go
Yes,
home?
I want to go home. So we contacted the oncologist in CDO, and because I was scheduled for a PET CT scan, she told me na, okay, magpa-slide review ka na rin. So doon sa slide review, doon nalaman na it's actually a different diagnosis. It's actually lymphoma. So we decided, lymphoma is a type of blood cancer. So we decided na yung treatment ko for lymphoma sa CDO na.
So you went to Manila. The same diagnosis, they picked up literally the diagnosis from Cagayan de Oro, which was thymoma. You went through how many cycles of
6
chemo?
cycles of chemotherapy, that's around 4 months, and
Wow.
24 sessions of radiotherapy.
So these were treatments
For thymoma,
which was not really your cancer.
Yes. The physical toll it took in my body, the financial toxicity, it was like in vain. But we actually treated the misdiagnosis as an answered prayer. Like, we always say that it was a miracle in misdiagnosis na hindi kami napuno ng bitterness and resentment, but instead, we were filled with so much hope. Oh my gosh, answered prayer na ito, my chance, my extended chance to fight.
Because if it was thymoma, you were
Wala
already
na.
given a bad prognosis.
Yeah.
But because it was lymphoma, then there is
Although
hope
although I was at stage 4, it's much more treatable
than
than
thymoma.
thymoma.
Okay.
So there was still so much hope. And so we went home in CDO and I had my first line of treatment for lymphoma there. I had around 4 cycles, but then I experienced a life-threatening complication, which is severe pneumonia. I was admitted in the ICU in Cagayan, and the doctors there do not know, hindi pa nila ako na-diagnose ng severe pneumonia, but I had my vital signs were dropping, my blood pressure were dropping, nahihirapan akong huminga. So, gusto nila akong buksan again. Like, gusto nila akong i-refer, because I don't know, there's something wrong with my chest. Like, gusto nila akong i-refer sa surgeon. And this time, yung family ko, gusto nila akong ibalik sa Manila. And because naka-ICU na ako that time, I can't fly commercially. So, kailangan air ambulance. And grabe yung we don't have the resources para maka-avail ng air ambulance, but my family, like, they really prayed together and they asked help sa relatives, like sa extended family, and they readily gave us.
Can we just quote the amount for an air ambulance? It's like almost
$500,000 that time.
$500,000.
One way. That time. Because yung hospital ko din in CDO, meron silang contact, but yung contact nila was 1M. So yung sister ko pa naghanap ng maybe there's another, company, and yun, mga $0.5M. And wala kaming ganun. Buti na lang, meron kaming relative who readily lend us money. So I was airlifted from CDO to Metro Manila. To another hospital here in Metro Manila. And during that time, wala na. Like, I was conscious, but I was not super alert. Like, I was having difficulty breathing. So all I could think of was breathe. Huminga ka lang, Len. And pagdating ko here in Manila, they wanted to intubate me, but ayoko kasi feeling ko na kung ma-intubate ako, mahirapan ma-extubate. And alam ko na kung intubate din ako, lalagyan din ako ng NGT for feeding, etc. So, buti na lang yung pulmo na consultant, sige, try muna natin ang non-invasive mechanical ventilator. Ginagamit BiPAP. So, nag-BiPAP ako and yun, I was admitted here, parang hindi siya ICU, parang step down ng ICU, progressive unit here. And then, yun, ang family ko that time, hindi nila kaya, especially my parents, hindi nila kaya to be in the same room with me kasi hindi nila kaya ako makita na suffering. So, mostly it was my sister. So, yung sister ko, isa din talaga siya sa trinitreat ko as my faith partner. So, sabi niya, girl, huminga ka. Girl, hinga ka. Kung ayaw mo ma-intubate, hinga ka. So, I was really like, trying.
If you meet her sister, she's so funny and animated when she was sharing this story that every time she would look at Lenie, she would always say, girl, hinga ka, girl, para hindi ka ma-intubate.
Ayaw mo kaya ma-intubate, huminga ka. So I was like, kasi yung BiPAP, it forces you to breathe.
Yeah, because it floods you with
may
air.
Pressure. Mm-hmm. So, buti na lang, after a day, like, dapat kasi mag-improve ako after 24 hours, if not, i-intubate. So, by God's grace, nag-improve ako. But that time, I spent a month in the hospital. Admitted, I was bedridden that time. So,
I want to capture this and ask. This could be considered one of the darkest days of your life.
It was.
How and where did you draw that positivity?
Draw it from God. Like, I was really brought into deep, deep faith. So, during my severe pneumonia diagnosis, it actually reminded me of the previous year, which is my poor prognosis na diagnosis. So, during that time, I really went to God and I conversed with Him, and I realized that no matter what happened, it will be a win-win situation. If I will be healed and I have an extended time here on earth, or I will go to heaven and meet my God, I will come out as victorious.
Wow. I have held space for, I think, over 500 patients in the last 7 years. But it is very rare to hear a perspective from a patient that, again, cancer is a fork road, right? You, on the other side, you can be cured. But on the other side, you can get prepared to meet your Creator.
Yes.
But you looked at it as either way, I'm going to win. That's such a profound and rare perspective, which really calls to mind that when you reach out to God, and as you said, build a personal relationship with Him, you somehow get that He has your back either way.
There is
He has-
divine peace and quiet confidence that you will be all right. So I held on to His promise of healing, but more importantly, I held on to His promise of resurrection. Isa yun sa chapter.
Kaya tayong
Isa yun sa chapter na I really love sa Bible was 1 Corinthians chapter 15 about the resurrection. During the time na I was so down, or like gabi na yung fear, binabasa ko yun na chapter. Death has been swallowed up in victory. Oh death, where is your sting? Where is your victory? Wala na. Whatever happens, we are victorious. It really put in me divine peace, divine comfort. So,
wow. You know, this very story just proves that in our deepest moments, that's where God becomes more real.
yes.
Right? You and I are both cancer survivors, and to this day I say that my cancer journey has been far richer than any phase in my life. Why? Because it is when I felt how real God is, that in my most painful moment, I couldn't even finish a prayer. And all I will say is, Jesus, Jesus. Someone told me, you don't have to have a very long prayer.
Yeah.
Just mention His name. So you're actually sharing that in the darkest moments of your life, you really latched on God's words and promises.
Yes.
I liked what you said. You literally held on to the promise of resurrection. That death is but a doorway to eternal life. You have been talking about how supportive your family is. I have met your sister, and truly she is like your faith partner. What advice would you give to someone supporting a loved one through a cancer diagnosis? How can they best support their loved one who is going through cancer?
Basically, educate and advocate. Educate yourself about the cancer of your loved one. Know about the treatment options. Know about the potential side effects so that you can know how to help them. And secondly, advocate for them. Help the patient, help your loved one voice out his or her concerns. Be present, actively listen. Because as a patient, di ba, sometimes parang hindi tayo makafocus. So it's important na yung loved one natin is there to advocate for us. And especially sa akin, I had a very crazy journey. Like, I underwent a lot of treatment because after my severe pneumonia, I was diagnosed with refractory cancer or resistant to treatment. So, with lymphoma, I actually had 3 lines of treatment. So that's around several months, probably almost a year of treatment. And when I was in remission, finally in remission, I underwent a bone marrow transplant.
And that you had to be confined in the hospital for a month.
For a month, yes. And my donor, stem cell donor for that was my sister. So my family really stepped up for me. And going back din yung sa sinabi mo when may times na very short yung prayer mo, may mga times na I don't even know what to pray, but I was told na let others pray for you.
Yes.
And my parents, my family, my siblings were one of my best prayer warriors.
Prayer warriors.
And di ko din makalimutan, nasa emergency room ako. May time na nasa emergency room ako, kasama ko yung sister ko. Sabi ko, Caroline pangalan niya. Sabi ko, kantahan mo nga ako. Kinantahan niya ako ng yung, what a beautiful name it is. The name of Jesus. Kinakanta niya sa ER. Di namin alam, baka marinig na yung iba. Pero okay lang. Sige na, Car. So yun, like, siya yung family ko talaga, they really educated themselves and advocated for me.
I think that's very important. To be able to hold space for our loved ones living with cancer, we need to understand. We need to understand what they're going through by educating ourselves so we can really find a way to support them. Now, from the very title of our podcast, Misdiagnosis, there are mistakes and lessons. But what I loved about your perspective was you took the misdiagnosis and looked at it as, wow, God opened another door. But if we just focus on mistakes and lessons, what do you think were the biggest mistakes made during your diagnosis? Let's not name names, let's not name hospitals, but what were, on hindsight, what were the mistakes?
Probably they could have been more prudent. They could have considered cancer. Like, I'm too young to have cancer, but I'm not too young to have cancer. Like, there should have been more awareness, cancer awareness for my age group. And they could have considered that diagnosis. And I don't know with the certain protocols, but I went to another institution for my chemotherapy and radiation. So they could have reviewed
the slides?
Yeah. Or biopsy me again. So those are just some of the things that I hope they could have improved on. Or they could have, kasi sayang, sana na-catch. Pero hindi, na-miss talaga eh.
And you had literally like 6 cycles. Your body went through the rigorous chemotherapy that you didn't need. If they just reread the slides, did another biopsy to make sure that they were treating the right kind.
Yes.
And this also brings about the reality that everyone in the healthcare system are human beings and are prone to make these mistakes. In this space of healthcare system, how did your experience of misdiagnosis and, just all those missteps, how did it, change the way you viewed our healthcare system?
I think our healthcare system is flawed. Like, there's still so much things that they could have improved on. But it also made me realize the importance of seeking second, third, fourth, multiple medical opinions. And aside from the technical aspect of seeking second, third, fourth multiple medical opinion, I actually also experienced and witnessed the difficulty in access and the very costly, like yung cost and access of cancer treatment here in the Philippines is
Almost nil.
ang hirap.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate and blessed enough that a lot of people were rooting for me, rallying for me, raising funds for me. And I am very, very grateful for that. But a lot of our fellow Filipinos don't have
that
support
network.
system, that network. Sometimes nakakalungkot because may treatment available pero hindi kaya financially.
Affordable,
yes.
yeah.
So that's one of the things na I think dapat ma-address sa healthcare system natin, especially din sa cancer care.
Yeah. A lot of times cancer patients and families will have to hop from one agency to another.
Yes.
And the dream is to really have a supportive healthcare system.
Yeah.
So, like, we know of countries where people have access to public hospitals and they don't have to line up for days on end, right? But Lenie, this very journey has given you the drive and the initiative to put together or co-found a cancer community. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So in 2021, Alexa, I think she was interviewed here before.
Yes.
Alexa reached out to me. Kasi mas una ako na-diagnose with cancer, and we have the same diagnosis, lymphoma, and I underwent bone marrow transplant, and then siya eventually kinailangan niya din mag-bone marrow transplant. So, I guess I had an online presence kasi nakita niya ako online because I was sharing my story.
Your story.
So, she reached out, and another medical oncologist, Doc Gel, the three of us, we co-founded a support group for our demographic for Filipinos aged 15 to 39 years old diagnosed with cancer. So this demographic, this age group is called AYA, Adolescent and Young Adult, and our community is called KAYA, Cancer sa Adolescent and Young Adult. So this community aims to empower and connect fellow AYAs because we are the in-between group. We are neither too very young or very old.
Yeah.
And most of our, like typically, ang cancer patients are young, like very young na pediatric oncology, or most ng adult oncology are the very old, like older adult. So kami sa in-between, paano kami? So like how about, paano yung support na kailangan namin? Because in this age group, ito yung group na parehas ko at the peak of my, at the prime of my life, like sa peak ng career, or like Alexa, she was in law school, and some of us also starting families. So maraming issues, and we hope that in this community, we are able to share our hope with each other, inspire each other, share information, especially regarding financial assistance, regarding any cancer awareness. So, yeah, and our dream really is to empower and connect Filipino AYAs.
It's kind of challenging for your age because this is the age group where you're actually entering a new chapter in your life, and all of a sudden, cancer happens. So it's literally life being interrupted, right? Lenie, what role, because I can sense your deep faith, but what role did mental health play in navigating through this very tumultuous journey you underwent?
I think a lot have been said that half of the battle is in the mind.
Yeah.
Like, the physical pain and suffering was unimaginable, but the mental struggle was as unimaginable as the physical pain.
Yeah.
Grabe yung mental struggles because may mga fear, like the fear of death, the fear of uncertainties, the fear of cancer treatment itself, like the fear of chemo, and yun. And even now, like even after the active treatment, maraming like the fear of relapse, the fear of reoccurrence, the fear of complications.
Anxiety.
Yes, anxiety. Marami talagang fear, and I think we just need to find avenues or like strategies that would help us face these fears and process whatever mental health struggles that we have. And for me, very helpful na I have a support system na I can be open to. Like, very important for me na meron kang someone na makausap mo.
Yeah.
Kasi sa akin, helpful na may nakakausap ako na ilalabas ko yung nararamdaman ko or whatever I'm thinking of or whatever dark thoughts that I have. Meron akong napapagsabihan and able to process it with me. And helpful din sa akin was journaling. I had, grabe yung journaling ko during especially yung active treatment ko, and prayers. Grabe na weapon ang prayers against the mental attacks.
I just want to capture this, and this is really important, that what you're saying is you cannot journey with cancer alone.
Yes.
You need people who can support you. You need a community.
Yes.
Number 2, there are tools to be able to express your emotions, your anxieties, and you mentioned one, and that is journaling. When we put our thoughts into writing, it actually decompresses us, right? And of course, the strongest foundation is your faith. You mentioned so many dips, parang more dips than your journey rising up. So there were a lot of turning points, but pinpoint in your story that your biggest pivotal moment that marked really that shift from despair to hope.
I think I can identify probably 3 points. The first point was when we found out that I had a misdiagnosis, because again, it gave us a hope that with lymphoma, it is more treatable. And second point was surviving severe pneumonia. I really thought that was my earthly end. But binuhay pa ako ni Lord. Like, sabi ko, Lord, I'm still here. Yung na-admit ako sa parang step down, like progressive unit, I was having difficulty breathing that I can't even cry. Kasi kung iiyak ako, lalo kong hindi makahinga. Mas priority huminga. Girl, mamaya ka na umiyak. Huminga ka muna. That's why when I was transferred to the regular room, doon ako umiyak. Umiyak ako. I really cried to God. Like, I cried for myself. I cried for my family. And I cried to God. So, but still, buhay pa rin ako. So, that was another turning point of turning the despair to hope. And the last turning point was when I was in remission. I was declared in remission in 2020.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Lord. After various treatments, after 3 lines of treatment for lymphoma, I was declared in remission in April of 2020, and in May, I underwent a bone marrow transplant. I really experienced grace upon grace, miracle
Grace upon
after
grace
miracle.
upon grace.
Yes.
Right? Parang endless.
Yes.
Endless. You are our third guest for today's podcast. And I was sharing with the rest of the team that your stories have a common thread. It's really the revelation of God's faithfulness and that hope that when you think you're at the edge, God is there to
Yes.
catch you, to save you, to cure you. But you gave us a beautiful perspective. Either way, you win. If you get cured, you win. If you don't, you meet your Heavenly Father and you enjoy the gift of eternal life. So parang, I hope the audience is able to capture this. Lenie, you are now 20.
30!
Oh, 30! With all these lessons, with all this appreciation. Because I saw a lot of reframing. You reframe so many things in your life. Now that you're 30, what would you say to your younger self at the beginning of this journey, knowing now what you know? What would you have said to Lenie, who was back then
24
years old?
I'll tell her, girl, get a second opinion. Girl, wag ka na. Para ma-save na yung chemotherapy radiation mo na mga.
Yeah.
Get a second opinion, like.
Lenie, in total, that was like 2 years of treatment.
Yes, continuous treatment. 2 years of continuous various treatment.
I don't even want to get into the total expense because I know it will amount to millions. I always believe that our journey is not for us only.
Yeah.
Lenie, why do you believe it's important to share your story with others? Like you blogged, you journaled, you were on social media. Why is it important?
I believe that it is important to share hope, and I believe that my story is a story of God's faithfulness and goodness, and I want to share Him to others. I want to point people to Him that we have a hope, we have a seed that is bigger than cancer, and that miracles do happen, miracles exist. God did it before, and God will do it again. I believe that is why it is important to share our stories, because I myself is also getting hope from other
people.
from other cancer survivors.
Yep. We have listeners here probably with the same segment or age group or probably older. From your journey, what message or takeaway do you want our audience to gain from your story?
First is that we are our best advocates. So get a second opinion. Get a second, third, fourth opinion. Don't hesitate. Don't fear to voice out your concerns. Kasi sometimes, di ba, kahit may mga question tayo, hindi natin nire-raise kasi like, baka very stupid yung question ko. No, voice out every concern, every question that you have. So yes, we are our best advocates. Second is that God is our ultimate healer. Our doctors, our family and friends are instruments that He used for our healing. But ultimately, He is our healer. So whatever statistics, whatever prognosis that is given to you, hold on to faith, hold on to the truth that we have a God of the impossible. He can make the impossible possible. And third is that live life in light of eternity. So love more, forgive more, be more generous, be kinder. So yeah, and siguro to my fellow cancer survivors din, padayon, keep going. Padayon is Bisaya of keep going. Be patient, your healing will come. Be steadfast, bad days will not last.
Will not last.
Yes,
Yeah.
and be hopeful. You are not alone. They are not alone. We have many communities rooting for them.
Thank you so much, Lenie. I always enjoy my time with her, whether it's in a short conversation or in a podcast like this. Thank you. Thank you so much. Your story will continue to inspire people, and thank you for, relentlessly just sharing your story. Your test is now your testimony, right? Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Life Doula Podcast. We hope you were as moved by our conversation as we are. Today, our guest has shown us the incredible power of faith and determination in overcoming adversity. Here are 3 powerful takeaways from our podcast today. 1. Faith as a guiding light. We've seen how unwavering faith Lenie had, and it continued to provide strength and hope even in her darkest moments. It's a reminder that believing in something greater can offer comfort and direction. 2. The importance of self-advocacy. Our guest's journey highlights the critical role of advocating for oneself, seeking second opinions, and never giving up when things don't feel right. And number 3, the power of community. The support of family, friends, and a faith community can make a significant difference in the healing process, providing emotional, mental, financial, and spiritual support. We would love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions for future topics or guests, please reach out to us. Your input helps us create content that truly resonates with our audience. Thank you for being part of our community. Until next time, stay strong, stay faithful, and keep living your journey with purpose and passion.